The shocking truth, the Milgram experiment and the power of authority. The Milgram experiment is a widely discussed social psychology study that has had a significant impact on the way we understand human behavior, obedience, and authority. In this experiment, researcher Stanley Milgram set out to test the hypothesis that people would obey an authority figure even when it required them to harm another person. The experiment involved participants administering electric shocks to a person they believed to be another participant, in reality, an actor, in response to incorrect answers on a memory task. As the voltage increased, the actor would begin to express distress and protest the shocks, and eventually stop responding altogether. The experiment was controversial for its ethical implications, but it generated important insights into the ways in which social and institutional pressures can override individual conscience and morality. The purpose of this podcast is to explore the Milgram experiment in greater depth, including its background, methodology, results, and implications for our understanding of human behavior and psychology. Through this exploration, we aim to deepen our understanding of the complex factors that shape our decisions and actions, and to consider the ethical implications of research in the social sciences. The Milgram experiment took place in the early 1960s, a time of significant social and political upheaval in the United States. The trial of Nazi war criminal Adolf Eichmann was underway in Israel, and the concept of banality of evil, the idea that ordinary people can be complicit in horrific acts under the influence of authority, was gaining traction in academic circles. Stanley Milgram, a young researcher at Yale University, was interested in exploring this idea further. He designed a study to investigate whether people would obey authority figures even when it required them to inflict harm on others. The experiment involved a participant, the teacher, administering electric shocks to another participant, the learner, every time they made a mistake on a memory task. The shock started at a low voltage and increased with each mistake. The learner was actually an actor who was not receiving real shocks, but who would express increasing levels of pain and distress as the voltage increased. The teacher was instructed to continue administering shocks even when the learner protested or appeared to be in significant distress. The experiment continued until the teacher either refused to administer any more shocks or reached the maximum voltage level. The hypothesis that Milgram was testing was whether ordinary people, under the influence of authority, would obey instructions to harm another person, even when it went against their own moral judgment. By manipulating the level of authority in the experiment, Milgram aimed to test the limits of obedience and explore the psychological mechanisms that might explain why people would comply with instructions to harm others. The results of the Milgram experiment were shocking and challenged the prevailing understanding of human behavior and obedience. Milgram found that the majority of participants continued to administer shocks to the learner, even when the voltage reached dangerous levels and the learner was clearly in distress. In fact, over 60% of participants continued to administer shocks all the way to the maximum voltage level. These results suggested that ordinary people are capable of inflicting harm on others when instructed to do so by an authority figure. Milgram argued that this was a demonstration of the power of social and institutional pressure to override individual morality and conscience. The results of the study generated significant controversy, particularly around the ethics of the experiment. Critics argued that the study caused undue stress and harm to participants, who were led to believe that they had inflicted significant pain on another person. Others argued that the study was not representative of real-world situations, and that the experimental design may have created demand characteristics that led participants to behave in ways that were not consistent with their true beliefs or values. Despite these criticisms, the Milgram experiment has had a lasting impact on the field of social psychology and beyond. It has led to important discussions about the limits of obedience, the role of authority in shaping behavior, and the ethical responsibilities of researchers in conducting experiments with human subjects. The study continues to inspire debate and reflection on the complex factors that shape our decisions and actions, and on the role of psychology in understanding and addressing issues of power and justice in society. The Milgram experiment has broad implications for our understanding of obedience, authority, and power dynamics. The study demonstrated that ordinary people can be compelled to harm others under the influence of authority, even when it goes against their own moral judgment. This has significant implications for issues such as compliance with authority in institutions such as the military and law enforcement, as well as in everyday life. The study also highlights the importance of understanding the power dynamics at play in social situations. It demonstrates how authority figures can use their power to influence the behavior of others, and how institutional pressures can override individual morality and conscience. By shedding light on these dynamics, the Milgram experiment has contributed to our understanding of issues such as social inequality, discrimination, and oppression. At the same time, the study raises important ethical considerations for researchers in the social sciences. The Milgram experiment has been criticized for the potential harm it caused to participants, who were led to believe that they had inflicted significant pain on another person. The study also raises broader questions about the responsibility of researchers to prioritize the well-being of their subjects and to avoid causing harm in the pursuit of knowledge. As a result of these ethical considerations, research ethics guidelines have been developed to ensure that studies are conducted in a way that minimizes the risk of harm to participants. These guidelines emphasize the importance of informed consent, confidentiality, and debriefing, among other considerations. Overall, the Milgram experiment has had a profound impact on our understanding of human behavior and psychology. It has raised important questions about the limits of obedience, the role of authority in shaping behavior, and the ethical responsibilities of researchers in conducting experiments with human subjects. By continuing to reflect on the implications of the study, we can deepen our understanding of the complex factors that shape our decisions and actions, and work to promote justice and equality in our society. In conclusion, the Milgram experiment remains a landmark study in the field of psychology, challenging our understanding of obedience, authority, and power dynamics. The study demonstrated that ordinary people can be compelled to harm others under the influence of authority, even when it goes against their own moral judgment. This has significant implications for issues such as compliance with authority in institutions such as the military and law enforcement, as well as in everyday life. The study also highlights important ethical considerations for researchers in the social sciences, emphasizing the importance of informed consent, confidentiality, and debriefing to minimize the risk of harm to participants. As listeners, we are invited to reflect on the implications of the Milgram experiment in our own lives. How do authority figures influence our behavior? In what ways do power dynamics shape our decisions and actions? By grappling with these questions, we can deepen our understanding of the complex factors that shape human behavior, and work to promote justice, equity, and respect for individual morality and conscience.